All right, good afternoon, everyone. There's so much energy. I hope this whole energy is about John's presentation of direct access. Everybody's discussing plans. How are they going to implement it tomorrow, right? My name's Andrew Lomakin. Senior Premier Field Engineer, Microsoft Ireland, specializing in Active Directory. Doing pretty much the same thing that John does, nothing, just in a different field. So today we're going to talk about, I do know I'm the last point of talking today and then you get to go home. So I'll try to be as long as boring as possible. And I can be that. So we're going to talk Active Directory, right? First thing, I know you're not too good at head counts and hand counts, but at least nod if you know what Active Directory is. Let's try it this way. Okay, some movement in the audience, good. No, the toughest, okay. We're going to see what's new in 2012 in Active Directory. And everybody's been saying so far, okay, Hyper-V, we got the most amount of features in Hyper-V. And then came, what came then? Then there was networking, there was direct access, and everybody kept saying, features are in my area, whereas nobody actually knows that the majority of new features are in Active Directory. Tough. So we got a lot of things to cover. We got plenty of topics to talk about, and we don't have too much time. Because as far as I know, around 5 o'clock, this whole area gets jammed by people trying to get out, so we want to get out before that. Or after that. Hey, we can actually end at around 7 o'clock. There's not going to be any queues. Good, we're going to try that. One message from Dave is that tomorrow's coffee start time is 9 a.m.
We're going to start on the nose at 9:30, but coffee will be here about 10 to 9.
Yeah.
9 to 9:30.
9, well, whatever he said. Yeah. Good. So we're going to talk about a number of subjects here. We're going to start with the easy bits, the Active Directory Administrative Center, a V2 technology. So John was talking about a V1 IPAM. We got a V2 Active Directory Administrative Center, a little bit of Active Directory PowerShell, because I don't know first thing about it. Virtual DCs, a couple of cool things there. Group managed service accounts, something that everybody absolutely ignored in Server 2008. They were there. The managed service account first appeared in 2008. Everybody ignored them. This is, you know, they keep coming back. V2 of them, we call them now group managed service accounts. We're going to see what they are. And then the last but not the least, this is the coolest thing that can possibly exist in a file server. And going back to Aidan's question of who can create a file share and assign permissions to it, how that whole thing can change. Cool, so we got lots of things to talk about. We have no time, plenty of demos scheduled, so let's kick in. Active Directory Administrative Center is yet to manage your Active Directory, to create users, to manage groups, group memberships, reset passwords, find accounts, and basically your day-to-day operations with Active Directory. The idea for it was, I don't know how many of you know, but I've seen a couple of cool implementations that for help desk, you have task pads, little snippets, little applications that allow your help desk staff to perform one or two different actions that they should perform. And the methods to create those task pads have been very different, from MMC scripting to PowerShell to custom applications. Now, what I see at ADAC is aiming to replace those little task pads and give help desk primarily, my opinion, it would be primarily aimed at help desk, to kind of become a new GUI for them. Because Active Directory users and computers, come on, it's too complicated. You can manage everything in there. You can go into attribute editor and you can manage a lot of things that help desk shouldn't have exposure to, yet still they have an Active Directory users and computers. We want to get rid of that. We want something simple. So ADAC is there for you. Now we've moved some of to ADAC, which isn't present anywhere else. For example, recycle bin, yay or nay? Yay. Come on, it's a big yay. How do you recover objects from recycle bin? You what? The new UI? Yeah, but previously. Oh, the PowerShell, very good. Yeah, did you know how to do that? Are you familiar? Oh, okay, not talking to you anymore. But the whole idea was that PowerShell is still perceived as something very complex. Now, recycle bin GUI has been introduced in ADAC. Fine-grained password policies. How many of you know of this feature from 2008? That you can have separate password policies for your various user accounts. For example, your boss, who doesn't want to raise your salary, he gets a password policy of like 20 characters, and he has to change them every 5 days. Come on, right? Now, previously, you could only create and manage them through AdCEdit, a very easy to use tool. Or LDAP, LDP, you know the LDP tool? It's actually originally was called Active Directory Administration Tool, because that's for hardcore guys. Now, this was a little bit hard to manage. In ADAC, this has all been added a little, facelift, and we can actually create them through a GUI. Now, another thing, Active Directory users in computers. How many forests can you manage simultaneously? Okay, obvious the answer is 1. Now the question, how many of you here have multiple forests to manage? Just 1. Is that it? We got okay. Right, not too good. But if we're moving to the cloud, we potentially have more than 1 forest. 1 on-site forest, maybe 1 in the cloud, or some of your companies have gone through a merger, you have several forests to manage. Now with ADAC, you can manage them all from the same console at the same time without actually switching in between the consoles, logging into various servers. It's all there in one view. A couple of cool search options are present in ADAC. You can search for a large amount of objects, and you can run some really cool searches, which I'm going to show you later on. And typically what I'm expecting when I show the custom searching functionality, remember what you have to say. Wow. Okay? Well, we won't rehearse it now, but I trust you'll do it later on. And it's all built on PowerShell. So we've been talking PowerShell pretty much throughout the whole day today. We've been saying how cool it is and what it can do. All of the ADAC functions are built on PowerShell. And it actually exposes the PowerShell it uses, so you can take advantage of it later. I will demo this all, hopefully, if the demo goddess is kind to me. Now, PowerShell for AD, Section 2, we're moving fast. PowerShell has been extended. We now support running multiple commands to manage your AD environment via PowerShell, where you can create new, we previously in 2008 R2, you could create users, computers, groups, and all that stuff. But we couldn't manage the inner parts of Active Directory, sites. We couldn't initiate replication. We couldn't manage replication topology through PowerShell. Well, 2012, yay, we can. All right, happy faces. Come on, I'm looking for happy faces here. All of the other bits listed in here also manageable through PowerShell. Dynamic access control, especially actually some of the bits of the DAC, which we're not going to talk about today, are manageable through PowerShell. But once you start learning the DAC technology deeper, you'll understand what I was talking about years and years ago. Now, virtual domain control management, some of the actions are only available in PowerShell. So PowerShell is becoming a management standard. And as previous speakers said, if you haven't started to learn it, start now. It's just a good time to start learning PowerShell. Again, I don't know nothing about PowerShell. Well, whatever. Yeah, anyways, talked enough, time for a little demo. It's my demo environment. And I've got just a couple of virtual machines, a couple of DCs, a member server, a couple of application servers, Node 1 and 2, and a Windows 8 client. All right, very, very simple setup. That's all in the contoso.com forest that we always use in Microsoft. There's actually a number of forests that we use. You can search a list online. Now, the main controller, let's go for Active Directory Administrative Center. So we got Server Manager, Tools, Active Directory Administrative Center. Now, the initial concept, if we just hide the help, is really useful. So I was talking about the marketing approach for the Active Directory Administrative Center is that it's task-oriented. So apparently, the 2 tasks you only want to be doing is the reset password and search for users, for now. But the idea is that at some point, you're able to add your own task paths into this initial start pane. And depending on what your help desk does, and a lot of time, the only thing the help desk does is this, resetting passwords. So eventually, once you customize this, and I don't think that at this version it's still possible to add your own little task paths here, but once that's in, you will be able to customize this view and add your own task paths to facilitate your own actions. So yeah, the easiest thing is reset passwords, finding users, like, okay, let me just find test user 1. And it goes and it finds quite a couple of users. Created them via PowerShell script yesterday. Yeah, how it took like 15 minutes to load a list of, there's around 20,000 entries in there. No, seriously, there's at least 20,000 entries are listed in there. And it took me what? Split second to do. So fast searching, it's one of the cool things. Yeah, you get your standard management capabilities. You can go ahead and you can create new group organizational units. You can go into groups, and for example, you can manage group membership. And it's a new UI. It's different, like it or not. If you create, for example, a new user, the wizard's going to be different. It's just the only thing I can say, pretty much. So you don't have a step-by-step click-through, but instead you have like a form to fill in. And some say this is more easy, whatever, but just a different view. Now let's go ahead and create a user, actually. It's an interesting thing. I haven't done that for quite a while, so I'm just going to go into my users. And I'm going to go ahead and new user, John, last, and then I'm going to specify some password for him. Hopefully I get the same password right. Now I'm just going to add him to a couple of groups as well. I'm just going to add him to EMEA group. I'm going to click OK. OK, the user's created. That was a complex task, wasn't it? How do you do it through PowerShell? And now you know. So have a look. There's a Windows PowerShell history bar at the bottom. If you click it, you actually get all of the commands that I've just done. New AD user to create an AD user, set an account password, enable the account, and include him into some groups. I take that, copy, and there's my script. So, yep. No, it's not still. So hold it. But the idea here is that yes, PowerShell is a little bit hard to learn, especially if you were never exposed to it. But we facilitate this by just exposing everything you do in ADAC, and every single thing you do in ADAC eventually is a PowerShell command. Every last click you make there is a PowerShell run in the back. So when you click their PowerShell history at the bottom, you expose everything you've done. And if you want to automate some tasks, well, come on, copy, paste, there's your automation. As simple as it can get. Now, second thing, searching. Okay, we've already searched for a user named testuser1. Right, that was awesome, wasn't it? Now, how do you locate all users with expired password? Do you know? Right now. Huh? PowerShell script. Can you? Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's a good answer. Get AD user minus filter. That's how your PowerShell script would line. AD user minus filter. And what do you filter on? How do you filter for expired passwords? Yikes. It's not too simple. Now have a look here. The wow bit. Thanks. So, users with disabled enabled accounts, users with passwords, users whose passwords have no expiry date. You know those sneaky IT admins that come and just say, "Oh, I don't want to change my password ever because I don't want to remember." You can find them with one search. Users who haven't logged on for a number of days, maybe the people who are no longer working in your organization, how complex it is to find them right now. Let me show you how complex it is. Click. 2 clicks, and then you have to put in the number of days for which they haven't logged on to. And that will bring you eventually all the users that match this criteria. Right? It's just John Doe. Now, obviously, that was PowerShell running behind. There's our PowerShell line that actually goes and searches for them. Copy out into your notepad. It's going to be a complex line, so it's not going to be something for the faint-hearted. There's your last log on time. This is how it actually finds users who haven't logged on for quite a while. But come on, through the UI, 3 clicks. Previously, to get that kind of information, you would have to order an AD wrap from us, Active Directory Risk Assessment from Premier Services, and you would pay like a 5-digit number for us to give you the list of users who haven't logged on for a while. And now you can do it for free. Well, I'm not selling you this. Sorry?
What level of AD do you have to be at for this to work?
Good question. Oh no, actually this is a great question. You know the difference between a good and a great one? A good question is when you ask a question, the trainer says, good question, that means he has no clue what the answer is. A great question means that he actually been preparing for that question. So for that to work, you need one thing. You need Active Directory web services running on a domain controller. For that, you need Windows Server 2008 R2. For that, you need Windows Server 2012 as your domain controller, or Windows Server 2003 running one little hotfix on top of it. And that one little hotfix requires another 5 little hotfixes. But anyways, you can make those Active Directory web services work on pretty much any operating system right now. And what that will enable, it will enable Active Directory web services. PowerShell, Active Directory PowerShell, talks to these Active Directory web services when it performs all of its activities. On the client side, you need to have a Windows 7 or a Windows 8. What I've just shown you, except for the PowerShell history part, is also available in V1 of Active Directory Administrative Center.
Does the Windows 7 have to enterprise edition?
As long as you can install remote server administration tools, the RSAT tools, you're good to go. So I think they're available for pretty much all Windows versions. And it's just the client side. So on the server, you have to run any version of Active Directory plus Active Directory web services. On the client, you have to run Windows, PowerShell, and Center comes as. Okay?
You said on the management side of the house that you can manage through ADAC, you can manage multiple forests and multiple domains.
Yeah, over here. So we got our local right now.
Does that work for old versions of AD as well?
Still, the requirement is exactly the same. You need to have web services installed in every forest in order for this to work.
Then the hard one is, can you migrate then? That's one of the reasons that you talk about mergers and acquisitions. Can you migrate from one forest to a new forest in this one?
Can you migrate from new forest?
Can you migrate users? Say you were doing like
In Active Directory Administrative Center, no, you would be using a different set of tools like Active Directory Migration Tool or our third-party vendor tool, but not through this one. No, this is purely for management. This is not for migrations. Okay? Active Directory Recycle Bin, where do we have it? Let me just, I don't think I've enabled it. So yeah, this is a command to enable a Recycle Bin. Previously, it was a PowerShell line like this long with a couple of GUIDs in there. Now it's just a simple click and hey, Recycle Bin's now enabled. If I now go to my contoso.local, I just need to refresh the thing. Don't see it? Weird. Oh, it has to replicate.
Deleted objects was there.
Was there? I didn't see it. Blind. There they are. Yeah, deleted object. So if I had any deleted users, I would find them here, right-click, restore, and off I go. Okay, very simple. Same for the fine-grained password policy. It's there. You can go ahead and edit them. Okay, moving on.